welcome back to the Paperstac podcast. My name is Rick Allen. My co-host here, Brett Burky, coming to you live. Well, it's live for us for another edition of the Paperstac podcast. Man, what's going on?
Not much. Getting ready for the holidays. Getting ready to wind down.
Man.
Hoping for a slow week so I can do some. This is all the time of the year where I actually like to get some education done. You know, because nobody's. You expect it to be slow, so you can actually get there and got a couple marketing courses.
Yeah, it's about to hit like the wall of slow.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever.
What's crazy is we kind of stay a little bit busy because people are still out there.
They're winding down their portfolios.
But also you get people who are like, oh man, I gotta put some money out, or
Or maybe they're buying somebody a note for Christmas.
And they've got time too. It's like people can stop and start diving in and. While some people are slow, there's other people out there who are buying. And some of my best deals I've purchased in December.
Because nobody else is bidding, right?
Nobody else is bidding.
That's pretty smart. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I go fishing while nobody else is.
That's smart.
Plus, I have a little extra time. Like you said, things are a little bit slower, a little more chaotic personally, but you can get in there, run some due diligence, figure out what's going on, and just make some good deals.
You go anywhere for the holidays? You staying here?
We'll go up to the Panhandle. 6,400 acres up there for a hunting lease. So we'll be up there for a week in the woods with no power or anything. Well, we got generators, but kids riding around four-wheelers, just decompressing. Nice. And we'll usually are back by for New Year's to stay in our neighborhood, go around there and say hello.
That's right.
Kind of keep it low key.
Was it last year that me and you sit on the tailgate till like 3 in the morning?
Oh my gosh. It was.
That was last year.
It was last year. We were up, it was past that. It was about almost 4:30, 5 o'clock. That won't happen again this year.
No.
I'm too old for that. So I say. But yeah, what about you? Got anything going on?
I mean, I should. I shouldn't just sit around and, I want to make sure my kids are busy, not just sitting around, make sure, we're doing stuff. But I've swore off kind of going on any more vacations for the year. My wife
hibernation.
Dude, seriously, my wife's like, well, let's go for, she was wanting to go for a cruise. I'm like, no. Can we just take a break?
Yeah, you've been traveling a lot, but.
Yeah, so, but
all right.
Whatever. But so this week.
What do you got for us?
So I had an interesting question where it was something that, yes, it can go a couple different ways where if you're basing your bid, basing your yield, do you always base it off the UPB, and why would you never base it off the total payoff? And my response to that was, well, in total payoff, you might have other stuff that might not go to you. There might be like escrow and...
There is, and oftentimes, if you're bidding on total payoff, you got to prove that.
What do you mean by that?
You got to prove that money is owed. So if it were past due taxes or something like that, you have to prove that money was actually paid in. So the total payoff. So sometimes I've had issues where, and that really stems from if you buy something and it's got a larger, you're bidding on the larger payoff, and then you go look, I need to verify that, and your servicer's like, well, this is what we can actually show and verify. Here's what we have receipts for. Mm-hmm. So if there wasn't good record keeping before and you bid on the total payoff, but say it was the UPB is 100 and total payoff is 143, but they can only show 126.
Interesting.
I can only prove that. So we've had to, in the past when that's happened, and they've said, well, we can only prove this much. I said, well, if that's what we can prove, then that's what we can enter on the judgment figures. So can't bid over that.
So is that something, if you're on the platform, is that if I was a buyer and I'm let's just say, because ideally with total payoff, it's more of a non-performing.
Yeah. Well, so let's look at when would you do that?
Right. Okay. Start with that.
So typically, I'm not ever. I don't like to bid off of total payoff. That's something that I've seen. I saw it recently in the past when there was no inventory. Things were super competitive. The real estate market's going bananas. So you kind of have to have this perfect storm of a situation where it makes sense to bid off the perfect or off of the total amount owed. versus just the UPB. And, you know, obviously the asset's worth far more than the asset's worth far more than the total payoff. So you're targeting getting that asset, or
okay.
that's really what you're doing there. You're never trying to get that bid over the bid on the total amount, which is you're going to wind up bidding most likely over UPB. I mean, otherwise, why would you not just be bidding on the UPB?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like, look, I'll bid you 100% of the UPB. Well,
the asset's valued at way more.
Yeah, it's way more. But if you're bidding like 105% of the balance, well, you're probably bidding on the total payoff. So you would do that when you're trying to get the house back. Market super competitive, a lot of bids. You're just trying to spend money. You want to get that asset for some particular reason. That would be the reason why somebody would most likely be bidding over that.
Okay. But that usually is most likely going to be with a non-performer.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a non-performing loan. It's not going to be something where it's...
So technically, can you basically say almost to a certainty, you know, nothing certain...
Well, there was a time when you would have maybe a loan at 50% loan to value, 13% interest rate, a 12.99% interest rate, and somebody was selling at 103% of the balance. Because somebody's just buying a performing short-term cash flow loan. It's like, look, I'm getting a 10% yield. I'm happy.
Right, and that's what some of the bigger players can do because they have more patient money. Yeah,
but you probably won't see that as much anymore with current market conditions, real estate values contracting a bit, interest rates up, stuff like that. So cost of money's up.
Okay, and so, but can you say, not with the complete certainty that strategy of bidding on a total payoff is usually only going to be...
Predominantly, you're going to see it when it's a non-performing loan.
Okay, so
and the market conditions were right for it.
Right, so this person...
It really, whether it's performing or non-performing, it's really going to be predicated on...
what you can collect.
The market conditions are going to be... It's going to have to be the right condition for the market.
Okay, then, so that...
If there's an abundance of inventory,
right,
people aren't really doing that.
So okay, for the question of...
You're looking at, do I have something on my shirt?
Oh, no, nothing. So if this person was bidding on a performing asset on the site, but there was a total payoff that was higher than a UPB. And so I guess they're like, well, should I be bidding off the total payoff, but it's performing, or should I be bidding off the UPB? And that...
So in that instance, if the total payoff is a certain number and it's a performing asset, there could be some arrearage, there could be something where there's this is going to be... There's something that's carrying over, like it was a loan modification and they did something funky in there, or they just did where they're taking past due interest and putting it on the back of the loan into a balloon or something like that. I could see you running into a situation there where you might be bidding over the balance if it's got a high coupon or something like that.
But should they still at that point maybe...
Well, that's up to each individual investor, their buyer. It depends on what they're looking for, you know. I could argue both ways on you should or you shouldn't. It just depends. You know, if I've got a bunch of money I need to put out and I'm happy getting 8% and it's a 9.5% loan, then I can afford to bid over the price.
Right. And over the price would be over the UPB.
Over the UPB. If it's a non-performing loan and I got some money to spend and I know I got a good feeling that I can get this borrower to sign a deed in lieu. Right?
Right.
If I can get them to sign a deed in lieu of foreclosure, well then it's like, hey, it's not going to go to sale. I won't have to be competing with every other investor who wants to outbid me on it. I'll just get it before it goes to sale by buying the asset. So I could argue either way. If you remember, I've talked about how I paid nearly par for a non-performing loan of the balance, or maybe it was the total balance owed. I have to go back and look. But it was much, much, much higher than anybody would have been comfortable paying.
Yeah, and you still did good.
Because I knew I looked at I read the tea leaves and I could see, like, hey man, I can get this borrower to sign over the house.
Interesting.
So, but it was vacant. They weren't living there. They'd already said they would sign the house over.
Right. So, but back to the performing though. Like performing, if I'm seeing the 10 BII, am I still basing my PV as UPB always? or
Yes, you can do that to start with.
so? But now,
But
as a seller,
really, the present value is whatever the price they're asking.
okay,
So it's don't get stuck that PV is the balance. It's the price that's you're trying to buy it for. Right? So
Yeah.
you can have the PV as if you paid par for it. Your numbers will all tie out as far as the payment, how many number of payments left, interest rate, all that stuff. But then when you go in there and you say, okay, it's listed underneath the principal balance, say it's a $100,000 principal balance and it's listed at $90,000, that becomes your PV. You click on the interest rate and it'll tell you what your yield is. Versus if it's $100,000 and they want $103,000, you put in $103,000 for the PV and then click on the IYR and it's going to tell you your yield at that point.
okay,
So, you'll have a situation where it's a 10% coupon rate and you're bidding over the value or over the principal balance. Don't expect the interest rate to stay at 10. It's going to drop to 9.5 or whatever the numbers dictate.
interesting. Okay, so I guess there's no. It's all.
It's not a
set science.
No, it's not an exact science, or it is an exact science, but you can look at it a bunch of different ways, and it really comes down to, actually it's just a math problem. You just got to figure out where you're going to go within that problem, and then if it's a non-performing side, that's where it becomes a little bit more of an art on basing your bid on it. Look, it's still very mathematically based, but looking at why would somebody do that? Well, they have some sort of piece of knowledge that they think that they can use, that they feel comfortable paying more than the balance.
They got an ace in the hole.
They got an ace in the hole that you don't know about. Yeah.
Right. All right. So just for example, I'm setting it up for somebody. This is this scenario. UPBs.
This is really hard to do if you don't have exact numbers, and I don't have a piece of pen and a paper and a calculator to work off of, but let's go. We'll let it rip. Like anytime you just say, hey, we're going to make up scenarios on the fly, quite honestly, it scares me. But here we go.
UPB is 100,000.
Okay.
List price is.
Should I be getting out my calculator to work this through?
If you want to. I'm not gonna.
I don't know what you're expecting. Like, are we going for exacts here or what?
I'm just making up the scenario on the fly as well. So.
Well, that's why I don't know what you're looking for. What are you looking for?
I have a UPB of 100,000. I have a list price of 95, and I have a total payoff of 105. Which number am I looking at first? Am I looking at the?
Okay, so you have a UPB of 100. You have a
list price of 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a total balance of 105. How far behind is it?
It's performing. They just had they had a loan modification, so the total payoff would be 105 because they had some stuff.
Okay, well they're selling it underneath the principal balance right now already, so you're paying 95% of the balance.
Yeah.
So.
No. Okay. All right. Never mind.
So you're just paying 95% of the balance. If you want to plug it in and figure out, like, okay, if it's, you said 100,000, right? Mm-hmm. 100,000 is the PV and
negative rate.
Yeah. And then what was the interest rate?
9%.
9? Mm-hmm. 9% is the interest rate. How many payments left?
245.
245 payments, right? So you're getting 839, right?
Right.
That's just the balance. Now, if you go 95,000, now your interest rate's 9.72.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but if you were to bid over that, if you were to bid 102, your interest rate drops to 873.
Right.
But you wouldn't. They're offering 95, so
there'd be no reason to do that. Yeah. Okay. That was a crappy scenario, but
hey, you came up with it, man, not me. I'm just giving you the facts. Anyways, I get what you're trying to figure out. It's like, when do you bid off of UPB versus when do you bid off of the total payoff? And like I said, it just depends on the deal. It depends performing, non-performing, what's your particular choice on, or what's your particular investment thesis? Are you going for performing loans and this one's at 14% and it's a short-term loan? So you're like, hey, I'll bid over it because all I need is a 12 to make my numbers work. Mm-hmm. And I like the way the deal works. It's in my backyard. Fine, great. Do it that way. Maybe it's non-performing and you're willing to bid over it because, hey, I just happen to know that borrower is willing to sign the house over.
Right.
But something went wrong to where the attorney who tried to get him to sign a deed in lieu before was a jerk to him, and they just said, "I'm not talking to them anymore." And
That
you
sounds
know that
familiar.
you're a people person, and you can, hey, I can get them to sign this over. I can cut them a few bucks and make a win-win for everybody. If you're going to maybe bid over there, so it really just depends on each situation.
Okay, well, good. Well, we got an answer. So,
Got an answer? Hope that helps you out. It's a good one. People ask that all the time. The days of just saying, hey, I'm bidding 75% of the balance. Like if you want to be competitive, you need to put some thought into every bid and understand why you're making your bid and look at each asset.
okay, well, cool. I guess that's it for this one.
Yes.
Next one will probably be
Happy holidays.
Next one might have some holiday hats on. I don't know. Maybe candy canes in their mouth. I don't know.
Eggnog.
All right, then. We'll see you on the next one. See you.
Bye.